Hi everyone, welcome back to the session for Let's Talk Design. We took a short little break because the country was going through this crazy pandemic, and we hope you all are safe and healthy and slowly dealing with what our country's gone through collectively. So we resumed our sessions from this month, and we hope to continue engaging conversations on design. And this our series is called Let's Talk Design, and we've been talking to a lot of architects over the last 1 year, and we really would like to use the opportunity to thank you all for staying connected with us, for following us, for supporting us. So thank you once again. And we have a very special guest with us today. We have Tushar from Studio Infinity based out of Pune, and I'm just going to let him in. Hi. Hi, Tushar.
Hi, Tanya. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible. Am I audible? Is it clear?
Absolutely.
Great, great, great. So thank you so much, Tushar, for being with us. And thank you for this inaugural session after this short break that we took. We hope everybody around you is hale and hearty. And it's nice to see you, and it's nice to have you here with us on this session of Let's Talk Design.
Absolutely my pleasure. And it is so good to know that I am the opening batsman of this new season.
Yes, we are really excited for the same. So today's theme is how stone is a reflection of culture and context. And I'll straight away jump into questions once I introduce you to the audience. You don't really need an introduction, but I'm just going to give a formal introduction. A design studio based out of Pune, Studio Infinity was co-founded by architect Tushar Kotwade. Studio Infinity believes in creating spaces with good design values. Integration of art and traditional crafts is an inseparable aspect of the design process. The studio offers inputs in various facets of end-to-end design solutions that cover architecture, interior design, and landscape design. Since its inception, Studio Infinity has successfully completed a wide spectrum of projects with an intention to create a common platform where creative endeavors are backed by expertise. So thank you, Tushar. I'll just start with the questions straight away, and then we can open up. If anybody in the audience has questions, please do drop them in the comment box. Thank you. So,
Sure.
talking about culture and its relevance in design, how do you think stone helps in reflecting that ideology, in your work?
Talking about stone, I think the use of stone dates back like 5,000 years ago when the pyramids were built, or even in the Indian context when the Sanchi Stupa was built. So our relation with stone dates back almost more than 5,000 years. So I think that is an inseparable part of our design outcome these days. Uh, Stone has evolved. So the way we use stone has evolved over the years. Just the way we all change as per time, we change as per our outlook. Even the use of stone has completely changed over the years. But I think there is some quality of stone that is there, which is so interesting that it makes every time you use a stone in your projects, it just gives it a different feeling altogether. So for us, I think the use of stone has been very critical right from the day one when we started using it, whether it is natural stones, the more Indian kind of a palette, or whether it is the finished products like say marbles or the other stones. They all have their own qualities, and these qualities is something that you want to search and explore in every project that comes across. That's why I think the use of stone, especially with the kind of project that we are doing currently, is something which is very close to our hearts in a way. And culturally, I feel, see, culture is what we represent. Culture is where we build. Culture is where we want to, how we want ourselves to be seen in a way these days. So culture is no more that orthodox kind of a feeling that was there probably a decade ago. But now the human kind has evolved like especially more so after this COVID scenario in the last couple of years. So I think this stone or whatever we do in terms of the design endeavors is actually a representation of what we want to present ourselves to, whether to our friends, to our family, or to the world on a larger scale. And I'm sure stone is one of those aspects which truly defines what kind of culture we want to represent. And when I'm saying culture, it is not the traditional sense of culture, but it is about how we want to be known outside our zone. And that is very important to me. So I hope that it answers the question.
Yeah. It's absolutely clear. So, in you do you think that stone contributes in a tangible manner to spatial experiences?
Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, not only in the tangible senses, but also in the non-tangible aspects. Because stone has this quality of, it has wonderful texture, it has wonderful sense of touch to it. Colors are absolutely fantastic. And these are elements in a way which form our spaces. So a spatial experience is defined by how we use the space, how we feel it, and how we see it. So I think stone is one of those very few elements other than wood, which I feel falls into all these categories which fulfill it. So
Right.
the kind of textural variations that one can achieve with stones, or the kind of aesthetical interest that one can create with use of stone into the spaces, is something absolutely fantastic. And I feel the use of stone, uh, this is the more tangible sense of it. But the intangible aspects also of stone are very important because it overwhelms the space. This does not generally happen with a lot of cosmetic elements available in the market these days. So I think that is important, that the kind of feeling that one gets when you're into a stone structure. See, you go to a temple which is built in stone, the kind of feeling that it will inaugurate. Or if you go into a palatial kind of a monument, whether it is in Europe or somewhere else, and you have that completely astonishing feeling. And similarly, when you use stone in the most rustic manner, the most earthy manner in our, say, humble houses, or even in the vernacular architecture, it has a completely different feeling. This cannot be expressed through, say, I would say, parameters of design, but this is something that just arises a lot of senses, and that is what design is all about. So I think in that way, stone definitely is a very important component.
Right. So, when you are picking up stones, for your projects and for your designs, are there any particular characteristics or are there any particular qualities that you look for?
Very interesting question, actually. Every time you have to select a stone, there are three W's that need to be answered. For whom are we using the stone? For why are we using the stone? And where are we using the stone? So whom, why, and where is what we need to answer. The moment you start writing these answers down, I think the picture of the kind of stone that you're looking at is just completely in front of you, because you cannot design without knowing the client for whom you're going to, because he's the end user of this space. So for instance, we are doing a school right now. And if we have to look at it from the student's perspective, who are kids from standard 1 to standard 10, for instance. So what is the kind of stone that we want to use for them? So who's the user over here is very important. On the other hand, we are doing a very, say, a high-end interior project for a client. And over there, we want to use stone which will suit his kind of the circle that he wants to go. So that is for whom we are designing. Where we are designing also very important. So this is where the contextual references come into place. So with contextual references, I am not only talking about the geographic locations, because if that would have been the case, we would have never used Italian marble in our houses. It would have only been used in Italy. So contextual references is not only the geographical notes, it is also the notes where you're talking about the kind of space that is there. So what is the context of that overall space? What is the design vocabulary that the space demands? And then which kind of stone suits over there? So whether I am thinking of a white marble or I am thinking of a black basalt, so it is defined by where it is going to be used. And lastly, the most important thing is why you want to use it. Do you just want to use it for aesthetics? You want to use it so that it defines your space, or you want to use it just for the sake of it?
Right.
If it's the last answer, just for the sake of it, then probably I'll not use it. But if it is anything else than that which adds value to design, then, and these three questions will define which stone you want to use. And that's it, as simple as that.
I think you really simplified the process for everybody, and it's a very useful sort of tip, right? For anybody who's picking up stone, if the fact that you've listed it down as a 3-point exercise, I think that's fabulous. So thank you for sharing that tip with us. So in your work, we can see that you use materials in their raw form, right? As it is, and you also talk about relevance to context, right? How and why do you think stone is a useful sort of tool to bring that context out? How do you think stone helps to bring out that that rawness as well in your designs?
See, contextually, stone, the moment you look at a structure which is made in stone or a space that is carved out of stone, it talks about its geographic location for sure. If I talk about Jaisalmer or sandstones, you know that I am talking about the deserts, I am talking about Rajasthan. If I am looking at say basalt, then you know which part of the country I am talking about. Similarly, it applies to many other stones that are there. So stone itself, because it originates from that soil, it has its own, it's very deep rooted over there. And that is one thing that makes it special. Of course, with globalization and world shrinking down, and we all want to do things throughout the globe in various different manners, we are importing and exporting, and just this crisscross of thing is happening, which is not bad in a way. I am not an advocate which will say that it's not right, because you need to explore, you need to expand your horizon in terms of the material uses that you're doing. That is one aspect of it. Secondly, like you asked, the rawness comes out because it is such a wonderful natural element. See, the best part about stones is that they have their own quality. They have their textural quality. They have their look and feel. They have a feeling of just being there on their own. You don't need to couple up them with anything. You don't need to finish them with anything. For instance, even wood, for that matter. We are very fond of wood in our studio. But even wood cannot be used in its raw form. You need to coat it with something. You need to finish it with something. But stone can just be used in its raw form. I'll give you an example of some, say, this. I always talk about this whenever I have to talk about textures and how it affects a space. So I've seen this structure in the southern part of India where there's a gradual transition between the spaces that connect the outdoors and the indoors of the house. And as you move from outside to inside, the textural quality of the flooring changes. We all know that South India is known for its granites.
Yeah.
But the way they use these granites, for instance, the granite which is there outside is absolutely textured. So you know that you are in the outdoors. The moment you are into the veranda, there's a different kind of feeling to that stone. And once you are inside, it is very well polished, smooth. Because even if you are blindfolded, you will be able to understand in which part of the house you are, or in which part of the space you are. So that is the quality of stones. And just using them as it is, I think that's the most beautiful thing that we can do to the spaces. So using them in the raw form, for us at Studio Infinity, it definitely is something that is very appealing.
Okay, that's great. It's good to hear you share examples as well. That's been sort of very insightful. So in all your projects, you use the choice of stone needs to be durable. The stone needs to be easy to maintain. It also needs to be within a certain budget. Could you share some samples or examples of stones that you think work within a budget as well?
I think first of all, this is a misconception that using stone is expensive. It is not expensive when you're using the right kind of stone.
Right.
The problem lies there. See,
Right.
for instance, if I am using a stone like, say, Satvario in a space which is not meant to be designed that way, then that is going to be expensive. So, but if I use probably a similar kind of stone which is available locally or which can be sourced in a way where it is not too expensive, then probably it is the right decision. So again, it comes down to that point where you want to select a particular material based on its availability, based on its outlook that will end up in the special context. And then, of course, cost defines the overall. See, how expensive it is depends upon what is the budget of your project. So, if, for instance, if I'm doing a mid-size scale house or a office where you need to be where there's a shoestring budget, then the kind of tone that we use has to be selected that way. Then I cannot go in the luxury segment. If I'm doing a project which falls in the luxury segment, then the scope widens up. And now over there, I have the choice of using the entire range, right from the start till the end.
Yeah.
So I think it being expensive or inexpensive depends upon where you are using it and in what context you are using it. And that should be, it is how simple it can be. Fortunately, today in India, I think in most cities across India, especially in cities like Pune and Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, there's a lot of variety available.
Yes.
With natural stones and with stones which are imported or which are locally available. And so you get to choose from all these, and that shouldn't be a problem at all. You just need to go in the market and do your research.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I think that was super, super useful, and also aligning it with cost is really, really important. And because stone is usually a one-time investment, so a lot of people are concerned about using stone. So thank you for busting that myth for us. I'm just going to go through some of the other questions that we have here before I go ahead and ask you my last two questions. So a lot of people have spoken about how they like your work and they're really fond of your work. Somebody's even commented on the 3Ws approach as well, which you just shared. So somebody's asked, do you think stone has trends? Every designer has something different in mind. Do you think there are any current trends in stone?
I think stone is the only element other than wood which has always been in vogue. So there are so many elements. For them, at even brick. These days, exposed brick is something that you'll see more often than probably it would have been seen 10 years ago or 12 years ago. So, but stone is something that has always been there. It has that quality of being timeless. And so are the spaces which are done out of stone. So that feeling of being timeless is something that I think is the best quality of stone. So it is always in trend. Give me one project which is made out of stone and which looks out of place in whichever century it has been done. And that's the beauty of stone. So when we talk about natural materials, I think stone falls in that category where it cannot just be out of trend at all. So whether you use it as a small element which can be decorated, or you use it as a floor, or you use it as a basic skeleton to create a structure, it still is going to be there always, whether it is today, tomorrow, or whatever trend is there. So throughout the history of architecture, right from the Gothic architecture to the contemporary to the Renaissance, whichever stage of architecture you consider, stone has been used. And why so? Because that is one element that is absolutely timeless. So that is the beauty of it.
It's really nice to hear you talking about stone so passionately. I mean, I can see you smile when you talk about a project made in stone. So it's really nice to see that. There's another question here. We always face a problem while delivering a marble piece or a big tabletop. Can you suggest methods for good packing?
Oh, that is the question that A-class team should answer.
Yeah, maybe we'll do a small post. I think I will tell the team we can do a small post on how to pack, and maybe we can demonstrate.
But that's a very relevant question.
Yes. No, I completely agree. I'm going to speak to the team, and we'll actually share some such content as well. So right. I think somebody else also asked if we could do this session in Hindi, and I would just like to respond to that. We can actually do it in Hindi, but then we are blocking ourselves to only the north part of the country, whereas our audience is actually global. So we want to make sure that all this information and insight that we get from reputed architects like you, we want it to be available to a larger audience. So that's why we conduct these sessions in English. So I think that was just for somebody else who asked. one question before I sort of close the session. If you had to, since you love stone so much, if you had to pick one stone that resonates with your personality, that is representative of who you are, what would that be?
Uh, I think it would be yellow Jaisalmer.
I love it. Yeah.
I don't know why. What I am from Maharashtra and Jaisalmer comes from Rajasthan. I don't know what connection is there, but somehow that stone has a very different kind of feeling to it. It can be raw. It can be polished. The color itself is so earthy, so Indian. So I think it speaks out a lot about India as a whole, and probably that is where I connect with it. So I think yellow Jaisalmer is, in fact, in my house, in my office, we've used a yellow Jaisalmer. So that is
It's one
something
of
that we,
my personal favorites as well. I think I had just graduated from architecture school, and the first little room, bathroom slash whatever small project that I did, I used yellow Jaisalmer everywhere. So I know what you're saying. So, yeah,
fantastic.
it's completely okay. Great. So yes, like I was saying, we have somebody from Australia watching us. So if we were doing this series in a different language, then we wouldn't be able to sort of appeal to larger audiences. So thank you. So as you know, this series is called Let's Talk Design. So if you had to share, as a closing statement, one thing for the hashtag Let's Talk Design, what would that be?
Keep it simple, keep it natural. And so this is an ideology that we have been following in our studio for a long time. You need not complicate things too much, and you neither not use too many cosmetic elements in your applications. So the better you keep them simple and you keep them natural, and that is the entire beauty that is going to resonate in your spaces. So the spatial experience, if you have to talk about, these two things are going to really help. So it's like hashtag keep it simple, hashtag keep it natural.
Yes, perfect. That's exactly what we needed. We needed the hashtag. So thank you so much. This has been a very, very useful session, and it was a lot of fun. Thank you for kicking off our series back again. As you know, A-Class is celebrating. Thank you, Gesture, for being a part of their journey. They will plant a tree on your behalf, and you will get a certificate for the same. So thank you very much, and it was a pleasure speaking to you.
Same here. Thank you, Tanya, and thank you to the entire team of A-Class. And looking forward to have more sessions like this.
Yes.
And it's been wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye.